Okay, I want to tell you the reason why Jhon Denver put West Virginia in the song Take Me Home Country Roads. I was working in Alexandria, Virginia back in 1969 or 70, and I, I was working part time at a gas station, and Jhon Denver I seen him over, I didn't know who he was at the time and never heard of him. And he was trying to use the phone booth and he couldn't, so he walked over to me and asked me for a quarter that he wanted to try to get a taxi ride home to his apartment. His car had broken down there at the gas station. So I said, I'll do one better than that. I'll give you a ride. And I'll be off in like 15 minutes. So he said, fine. You mind if I take some things out of my car and put into yours? I said, no problem. I said, I have the 57 Chevy over here. Just load it all up. So we started for his apartment, and I said to him, were you some kind of a gangster or something? I was trying to start a conversation because he wasn't saying anything. He said, no, I'm not a gangster. Why you ask? I said, well, you have this big case in the back here, looks like a machine gun, and all these little boxes of ammunition, looks to me like. He said, no, he says, I'm a songwriter, and that's a guitar, 12-string guitar, and records. I said, 12-string guitar? I've never heard of that. He said, oh, yeah. I said, well, I play a little mandolin. Is the tune the same as a mandolin? And he said, no. He said, one string's one octave higher than the other. And so he explained how that worked, how you tune them. Then when we got to his apartment, he said, would you like to come in for have a drink or something? I says to him, now, I'd never had a drink of moonshine before, but everybody had been kidding me because I was from West Virginia. Where's your moonshine? So I said to him, I says, do you have any moonshine? He said, no, but I have some good bourbon. Maybe that'll work. So I said, okay. And so we went into his apartment and we got to talking. He asked me what I did on weekends for fun. I told him I'd drive into West Virginia, back home. He said, oh, you're from West Virginia. He says, I played a concert in Virginia the other night. And I says, no, it's not Virginia, it's West Virginia. It's two different states. And I explained to him how there's North Carolina, South Carolina, North Dakota, South Dakota. And but there's nothing to distinguish Virginia. Virginia don't have no East Virginia. It just says Virginia. And then there's West Virginia. That's where I'm from. Oh, he says, okay, I understand. And so we talked a long time, had a good conversation. He says, by the way, let me show you the guitar, how it's tuned and all. He got out his guitar and he played it just a little bit. And then he says, would you like to try it? I said, sure, let me try it. And I got it and played a little Wildwood Flower. And And I handed it back to him. He says, boy, he says, I would never have let anybody play my guitar before. I'm really touchy about that. Well, I said, I'm sorry. I can understand that. He says, I'm very impressed that you could play. And he asked me what the song was. I told him Wildwood Flower. I said, everybody in West Virginia can play Wildwood Flower on the guitar. And he laughed. So he says, let me sing you a song. And he played a song to me. He's like, if you could imagine, 5 foot away from me, playing Jhon Denver, which I didn't know him. He introduced himself as Henry. So here he was, played a beautiful song, and I could see that he was really good. And I complimented him. I said, that is a fine song, and it's beautifully played. And we talked a little longer, and I says, well, I got to be going now. And he said, let me follow you out to the car. I said, that's fine. And we walked out to the car. And he said, on the way, he says, hey, the next song I write, I'm going to put West Virginia in it. I says, well, great. That'll put West Virginia on the map. And by the way, I wish you good luck with his songwriting. All it takes is one song, and you make out really well. And he says to me, he says, well, I do have one song that's doing pretty good so far. And I said, oh, what's that? He says, it's called Take Me Home, Country Roads. Oh, I'm sorry. The name of the song was Leaving on a Jet Plane. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I never heard of that song. Oh, he says, Peter, Paul, and Mary have it. And I thinks for a minute. I says, all 3 people have the same song? Oh, he laughed. He says, no, that's a vocal group. It's a folk group that has that song. Okay, I never heard of them either, but I'll be listening for it. And so he'd give me a record. One of those 45 records was all in all those little boxes he had. And he'd give me one, and I says, could you sign this for me? He said, oh, sure, I'll sign it for you. He signed it, and I picked it up and looked at it. I says, this is strange. It says Jhon Denver, and you told me your name was Henry. Oh, he said, that is my pen name. Tell you what. I says, would you sign your real name on it too? He said, sure. So he signed it, Henry Dosendorf. And I left then. And when I got to where I was staying, I took the record out and looked at it, and I says, that's strange. Jhon Denver, he signed it Jhon Denver, but his name is Henry Dosendorf. Fine. I wish I had that record today, but I went off and left it there where I was staying. So that's why Jhon Denver put West Virginia in this song, Take Me Home, Country Roads. Thank you very much.